Hi. Okay, so we'll basically this week let's just look at some people who have done some amazing work around psychotherapy and mental health and just the brain, right? Because what is happening is in on one side of technology you have AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is mapping parts of your brain, and on the other side you have mental health and psychiatry and psychology and physiotherapy and all these other modalities which take care of your mind and body and spirit and all of that. But there are some people who I think need to be mentioned because they are critical in how this whole field has kind of got shaped. And I have my own encounters with mental health care in life, and these are lived experiences, right? And what I'm also trying to do is look at people from the lens of their flaws and not their perfection. But people, these so-called flawed individuals, have done wonders, and the attempt is that we start looking at flaws as superpowers and not perfection and not the pedigree and not where you come from, but whatever happens in your life, what do you do with it? And these people are amazing examples. I mean, we all remember this movie, The Beautiful Mind, right? You watch that movie and you're like, oh my god, John Nash. I mean, what he overcame is what you admire him for. The Nobel Prizes, by the way. And it is brilliant. I mean, that he did what he did with the brain that he had and the life that he lived. But there are more such examples, and these are not the most popular, but ones which have shaped my thought process over a period of time. They have been critical in my journey. So, first person I want to essentially speak about is Marsha Linehan. She is a clinical psychologist. She is known for coming up to something called dialectical behavior therapy, which is DBT. DBT is very, very critical in treating mental health issues like eating disorders, but primarily it is used for BPD, which is borderline personality disorder. And dialectical behavior therapy to me is a combination of the East and the West in more ways than one. It essentially is, in simplest words, it's mindfulness, it's having hope, it's looking for the brighter side, and it's holding polarities, the good and the bad, right? So Marsha is very, very inspiring because at some point in her life, early on in her, I think in her 20s, I think she was diagnosed with BPD herself, or symptoms which look like BPD. The thing with being diagnosed with anything in the DSM workbook is that all of it is up in the air and all of it keeps changing as we get more data, because all data on the brain is actually limited. Until we know more, we go with what we know, but it's still very limited. We still don't know if the person you're calling mad is mad or enlightened, and you still don't know that all these tests, blood tests, are being done, etc. Of course, there is a biological element to the whole thing, but it's all very limited, and which is okay, which is part of life. Everything is limited to whatever we are aware of, right? But Marsha is very critical because one, she overcame her own diagnosis, so to say, because it's very easy to kind of get sucked into a diagnosis and say, okay, this is who I am, and make it your identity. But she kind of overcame that, and then she kind of went and created a modality which has helped an entire generation after her. All of us have used DBT. I've actually used DBT as part of OD programs, as assessment centers, as leadership programs, as part of conversations. I've used it as part of improv. So this whole thing that we have in improv, which is fortunately, unfortunately, to me that's DBT, because you're holding two sides of the same equation. It's polarities. Anybody who can argue for and against is essentially holding space for all ends of the spectrum, right? I think anybody who's gone through something and then uses that going through to create something of value for the rest of the humanity, so that they don't have to suffer whatever these people suffered, has to be valued and put on some sort of higher ground, because it takes a lot of work to convert your suffering into something of value, which the rest of the world can use and make sure that they don't go through what you've gone through. And this is service. I mean, there is no better service to mankind but to take everything that you've gone through and all your suffering and convert that into healing. And she has changed lives, she has saved lives, she has given hope, she has changed psychiatry. Her contribution is impeccable. So go look her up. There are books about her. There's enough writings about her. There are brilliant videos of her on YouTube. So start with a YouTube video, then find her life story, and just see her work. It's amazing what a woman can do, despite what the names and the labels that she's given, and the diagnosis that we label people with. So I mean, we really have to look beyond all of this, because I think neurodiversity is normal. Neurodivergence is normal, especially in the world that's coming. And if we continue to label people basis something which is not what we understand as of today, I think that's our limitation. It has nothing to do with the person who's a little different. The difference is what will make people propel, not the similarities. And the flaws is where the beauty is, not in the perfection. So yeah, Marsha Linehan, go find her. She is a force of nature.